2017 Diary on a Great Train Journey, the Indian Pacific Railway, Australia. Sunday the 26th of February, Perth to Kalgoorlie on the Indian Pacific Railway. Got up at 6:30 am and got a taxi at 7:45 am to East Perth Station. The train left at 10 am, so we had plenty of time to look at the Indian Pacific train memorabilia and have complimentary coffee/tea/orange juice and small cakes whilst a musician played. Alison and I chatted to the train driver, one of two drivers for the trip, who was up at the front of the train. There was a wagon with a full car transporter which had to be hooked up to the engine, so the driver had to stop talking to us and assist with that. Took lots of photos and felt excited to be going from Perth to Adelaide on the Indian Pacific, which would take 3 days /2 nights and crossing the Nullarbor Plain and deserts. Chris and Alison and us had adjacent cabins near the front of the massively long train, carriage O, cabins 7 and 8. The cabins were very compact with a pull-out bed and bunk bed above with ladder, plus a small shower room with sink, mirror and toilet. The staff were all very friendly and helpful. We went to the Queen Adelaide dining car for lunch. All food and drinks were included in the ticket. The train went very slowly through the Perth suburbs and past Northam and Medin, which we had visited in the motorhomes. Sometime after Medin and past Southern Cross, an outback town, the train stopped for about an hour. We heard on the internal PAR announcement by train staff that a stowaway person had been spotted by a passing freight train, and the driver had informed our driver, who had then seen the man on the video surveillance cameras. The stowaway was seen moving in one of the cars on the vehicle transporter. The Indian Pacific staff radioed the police at Southern Cross and they took a while to get to the stationary train. The man was arrested and stupidly had no water or food with him in the car for the 3-day trip and with outside temperatures of 36°C, and he may not have survived. We went to dinner in the dining car. We were traveling gold class. Red class was lower and platinum was the top class. When we returned to the cabin, the staff had made up the bunk beds and left some gifts for us, as we had mentioned that it was our 39th wedding anniversary yesterday. I got a blue pashmina scarf and KeefH got a cap plus a nice note from the staff. There was a free coach trip at 9 p.m. round Kalgoorlie and to see the gold mine, the super pit, which we had all signed up to do that evening. However, because the stowaway had caused a delay to our journey, we did not get off the train onto the coaches until 10:30 p.m. The temperature had been 30°C at 9:15 p.m. and it was very dark. The coaches went to the super pit but did not get any idea of the scale of the gold mine, as it was pitch black with lorry headlights moving in the bottom of the giant pit. Luckily Keith and I had seen it before in the daytime on a previous trip to Australia. We drove round the town and there was nobody around. The coaches all dropped everybody off at the Gold Museum, where we saw a short 15-minute play about Paddy Hannan. He was an Irish prospector who first found gold nuggets on the ground in 1893. A woman was also in the play. We did not think it was very good. Back in our coach we did not think the driver's commentary was very good either. He kept pausing mid-sentence. His day job was prison officer. We were very tired and after the 2-hour excursion we reboarded the train and went to bed. Monday the 27th of February, Indian Pacific Railway. I was still awake when the train finally left Kalgoorlie station at 1:20 am and picked up speed. The delay in leaving was probably due to goods trains having priority on the line. The train lurched violently from side to side, so much that I found it difficult to get to sleep on the top bunk. I climbed down the ladder. Keith woke up and kindly offered to swap bunks. Eventually got to sleep. We were woken up at 5:30 am by train staff knocking on our door. We had all wanted to do the early breakfast outdoors at 6:15 at Rawlinna station. This was a scheduled stop on the Nullarbor Plain halfway between Perth and Adelaide. Not all the passengers wanted to be woken so early for breakfast. The temperature was 20 C at 6:15, bright sunshine with a bright blue sky. This place was a lonely outpost on the railway track, with tiny station, post office plus a sheep station which covered 2.5 million acres with 70,000 sheep. When we climbed down the train steps, it was some distance to the station where breakfast was being served. We all sat on benches by lots of long wooden tables and ate sausage, quiche, large mushroom, tomato plus tea and coffee. We saw local Ute and Aussie famers come to the station to pick up their post and parcels. When we reboarded the train, the staff said on the intercom that there was a creature on the track at the front of the train, probably a snake. We weren't allowed to walk anywhere at all apart from the cinder track by the train to the station platform. Today we're spending the whole day on the train crossing the Nullarbor. We had lunch in the Queen Adelaide restaurant car with pre-dinner drinks and some nice wine with our meal. I had an hour's sleep in our cabin as I was knackered. Then we spent the time gazing out the window and listening to music on the cabin radio. Keef thought he saw a snake at the side of the track. At 3 p.m. the train made a scheduled brief stop at Cook on the Nullarbor. It was a godforsaken place in the middle of nowhere. It was named after an Aussie Prime Minister, not Captain Cook. It was 38 C and after the aircon on the train it was like walking into a hot oven. We had 30 minutes stop here as the train had to refuel, take on more water, arterial bore, and change drivers. There were lots of flies, so had to continually swat them away from our faces or they crawled into our mouth, ears and noses. We were told before disembarking that we were not to walk into the desert but to strictly keep to the paved paths towards a few abandoned buildings. There was once a small community living there, but now the population is 4. Their job is to help with refueling the train. They live in a typical Aussie house, bungalow with corrugated iron roof and a small garden with picket fence. The soil was very red and dusty with a few trees around. We were told not to enter the abandoned buildings as it was too dangerous, as snakes were very active at this time. Luckily saw no snakes or other animals / reptiles, thank goodness. I was very careful to watch where I was walking. We all took photos and reboarded the train before the 30 minutes were up as we felt we did not want to linger in this dangerous and desolate place. Glad to get back to our aircon cabin. Crossing the Nullarbor we only saw a few cattle but no kangaroos or camels. A lot of the mammals are asleep during the day and only feed at dawn and dusk. Later in the afternoon the landscape suddenly changed from the flat desert where you could see 4 miles to rocky and sandy gorges with large bushes and trees, and there was a dirt track alongside the railway line. This is probably so that maintenance men could drive along to check the condition of the track. We could see that once heavy rain had scored deep gullies in the red sandy soil but were dry as a bone now. We wondered if the lack of kangaroos was since they were being killed for the pet food industry. Had dinner and had a game of cards in the bar area. Very tired.